Marlon asks, when will you go? And Truman says it isn't that simple. It takes money planning. You can't just up and go, but he will do it. And don't worry, bonus time is just around the corner. And I was like, no, it's not. You didn't meet your quota. So Truman is.
No bonus for you. You didn't go on the boat.
You didn't go on the boat. No bonus for you. Sorry.
Hey, come to my office. Sorry. Everyone else gets a bonus. They went on the boat. You, no boat, no bonus. It's a boat bonus.
What's poppin', y'all? Welcome to Post Finale. I am your host, Ankit Madhira. I'm an actor and a musician who hasn't seen a lot of films, so to make my friends happy and potentially provide a new perspective on some popular films, I am on a quest to change that. However, I am never on this quest alone. This week, I am joined by director, actor, one of my closest friends, Stephan Nieman. Stephan, how are you doing?
Good. You forgot podcast partner? I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. For people listening, because this is gonna come out in January, and if I remember correctly, in 2 days' time from when this episode drops, Stephan and I are launching our new podcast called Flip the Scripts, which is all about adaptations. So be sure to check that out. There's some information on the Co-op Forge YouTube and social media about that show, but that should be coming out in 2 days' time from when this episode should be dropping, if I have my dates correct.
And for those who love Ankit's journey of like watching films,
It's going to continue over there.
Yeah, most of the films that we watch and flip the scripts Ankit has not seen. So this is fresh eyes Ankit on the, not usually on the book. The book he's read, but the film.
Some of the books I haven't read as well. Some of them I have. So usually, at least for that show, it's going to be more of the films. I haven't seen as many of the films, but I've read some of the books. Some of the books are new to me as well, but just because I read a lot more than I watch movies.
Great.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that show. But we are here and we are talking about the Truman Show. Now, before we get into what I know and everything like that, Stephan, what do you know about the Truman Show? I know that it's a film that you've seen multiple times, something that like you really enjoy, that you actually love. So what is your background on it? When did you first see it? Anything like that?
I think I saw it back in 3 years ago. So maybe like 2020.
So recently.
During the pandemic. Yeah. I mean, like, I kind of knew the premise because, every TV show from The Simpsons to Futurama to Family Guy to American Dad, a lot of Seth MacFarlane, has basically made fun of the concept of the Truman Show in some way.
Okay.
So like it's definitely like one of those I knew of and was very present in. I like Jim Carrey. I grew up with him. Bruce Almighty being one of the great films that he's in. Also enjoy. Ankit, if you haven't seen Bruce Almighty, I'll be mad. Damn it.
I haven't heard of Bruce Almighty, buddy.
No. So another film Ankit hasn't seen. For those who watch this regularly, if you watch Fight Club, I'm the reason Ankit started this podcast. I am the friend who gets mad he hasn't seen films.
That would be Stephan. If you listen to the Fight Club episode, that's right up. If you haven't listened to the Fight Club episode, welcome. Hello. Yeah, Stephan's the main friend who got really upset that I had never seen anything. There were others, but he was definitely the forefront of Ankit watch things.
And while I'm not like the hugest fan of why I didn't really get the film until I was like 3 years ago, I sat down and watched it and found it very intrinsic and interesting, especially in the time of my life where I was directing a couple plays at the time, and I just found the context very fascinating and something that was really interesting to talk about.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, for me personally, this is what I knew going into it. I knew that it was called The Truman Show, and I knew Jim Carrey was in it, and that was solely because he was on the poster.
I forgot that Paul Giamatti was in it till I started watching it, and I was just so happy because I love that actor. He was in a movie over Christmas time. I went to go see a film with my dad that he stars in. It's called I think it's called The Holdovers. So good, so
Hmm.
good. He
Who does
plays
Paul Giamatti play in this?
I think he's the assistant of the.
Wait, I
He's
might
the
not have gotten to Paul Giamatti yet, so just freeze.
no. He's in the first part of the
He is.
episode.
He is. Oh wait, where?
Yes,
Who is he playing?
he's just a very small part. He's part of the
Oh,
team. He's part of the team under
oh,
the
like behind the scenes and everything.
yeah, he's part of the team under the director, under the creator of the. He's just part of the team. But I love the actor. I like him in things. It's fun to watch him when he still had hair. Um, also because he's one of those actors. I grew up with Paul Giamatti as well because I love like Big Fat Liar, which is another movie that I hope Ankit has seen
I
with
think.
Frankie Muniz. Like
I
Paul Giamatti turns
think
blue.
I've
He's like a
seen that
producer.
one.
Oh
Maybe.
gosh. Okay.
Maybe.
Um so yeah, but I mean, I really enjoy this film. I think that this film has a lot of heart to it. At one point watching the film, I swear I thought Samuel L. Jackson was in the film, and then I was like disappointed it wasn't him. It was just a guy who was dressed exactly like his Pulp Fiction character. And
Oh, I have seen that film.
I was so excited for a second, and then I was like, oh dang, maybe it was a reference to Pulp Fiction, because that movie came out in probably around the same time this came out. Also love Pulp Fiction.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know when this came out. I'm guessing the 90s.
Yeah, I think like I know Jim Carrey like this came out in 1998.
So this
Um,
was right as he was doing like the Ace Ventura detectives and all of that stuff, right? And
well,
like the
yeah. So,
mask and all of that stuff.
The Mask came out in '94.
Okay. So this
So
is a
like
couple years after the mask.
yeah, so like Jim Carrey was homeless. I don't know if you knew this. Jim Carrey was homeless. He only had like 10. He talks about it. It's amazing. He only had like $10 to his name when he signed on to do. I think Ace Ventura: Pet Detective was his first like breakout film,
Hmm.
and that kind of set him up. And he was able to have money from then on just to live.
Just to survive. It's a hard thing.
Yeah. So wait for I do love him. I think he's a great actor. Yeah, but let's why don't we get into the
Yeah,
film?
let's get into it. I mean, I know pretty much nothing. So, going into it, I knew pretty much nothing. So, it starts with a man saying that we have become bored of watching actors give phony emotions, which I took offense to. That's hurtful. Some actors, yes, they're phony, but some actors, they're real emotions. Like, come on. I understand where he's coming from, but like, dude, like the people that are good at their craft can give you real emotions. But anyway, I digress. So he says, we are bored of watching actors give phony emotions or pyrotechnics and special effects. While the world he inhabits is counterfeit, nothing fake about Truman himself. It's not always Shakespeare, but it's life and it's genuine. And that's when I paused and I was like, wait, I've heard of this movie. So this is where I was like, wait, I think I actually kind of maybe somewhat know what's going on. I don't actually know what's going on, but maybe somewhat kind of know what's going on. And I was like, okay, so is this the movie where Truman was brought up and raised in this world where everyone around him is an actor and like knows that it's a fake world, but like he doesn't know that it's a fake world? But he thinks that everything is real, and the story follows him thinking that it's all real, finding out that it isn't, and then he tries to escape from the fake world. And the reason that it's called the Truman Show is that people in the real world, per se, for anyone that's listening, just audio, real world is in quotations, but the real world tune in to watch Truman's life. So that's what I was like, wait, I think I have heard of this film. I don't know how anything like progresses or what's going on, but like I have heard of this film.
Yeah, I mean this film is definitely like one of like interest. I think it's really funny that this film came in like 98. I don't know if anybody, there was a really funny interview with I forget what director, but he was like calling the Avengers films like he was like making fun of the Avengers films. He said they're not film, they're just movies, they're just amusement park rides.
Mm-hmm.
And so that got a lot of flack, of course, on this director. I think it was Kubrick said it, Stanley Kubrick. And I think it's a very fascinating conversation. As a theater artist, I look at that conversation he has at the beginning, and he's like, oh, we need people to be real, and I'm instantly brought to like the argument of like Stella Adler and like, you know, people like that from the Stanislavski movement who took Stanislavski and went, they ran with it, and you know, when Stanislavski was like, no, 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 I'm about theatrical truth, but you know, people ignore that. And I think it's just one of those things where, like, as a director, I have a lot of problems with the thing the first guy said.
I have a lot of problems with it as an actor, but I understand where he's coming from to set up the film.
Yeah, and I think it's really fascinating to, like, you know, from a perspective of like morality as well as we
Yeah,
go deeper into the film.
fair enough. So, this is when I clocked, like, okay, I kind of know what's going on in this film. Not really. But I know the general concept of what's going on in this film pretty much. So, Truman Burbank, we then get like credits, and it was like Truman Burbank himself. And then I was like Jim Carrey, and then I clocked like, oh, these are credits for like the TV show. So
Mm.
makes sense of why they're saying that Truman Burbank is Truman Burbank, because it was the credits for the show, not credits for the film, which took me like, I think, until we got to the second name to process like, oh, that's what's happening. But
Yeah,
I was
definitely.
slightly thrown off. I was like, who's named Truman Burbank? And isn't Jim Carrey Truman? Oh, okay. Like, yeah. It was just, I didn't clock it right away, but that's fine. So, anyway, Truman is saying he isn't going to make it to the top of the mountain. And the director says people leave him on all night for comfort. And then we get Hannah Gill as Meryl. There is no difference between public and private life. Truman Show is a lifestyle and a blessed life. We'll get into that. And then we have Lewis Coltrane as Marlin. And he says, it's all real, nothing's faked. It's controlled, but nothing's fake. Which is interesting again, which makes me think, like, okay, but if it's controlled, doesn't that mean that it's fake? Because you're not actually seeing what his world would be like, right? Like, if you're controlling it, it is fake because you are dictating how his life should go, which makes it a fake life. It's not a real life. You're dictating how it goes.
Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting conversation of, like, you know, what we perceive as reality, as well as, you know, I think it's also a statement against, you know, reality television. We know that reality television is fake. I mean, Jersey Shore, the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, we know it's fake, but it's the drama that drives people to these shows, and I think that's very
We
fascinating. And it's like, you know, I don't care for reality television. I think it's just it's not interesting, because it's
Yeah,
not real.
I watched some of it. So like the reality show that I would watch growing up was like The Amazing Race.
Okay.
And that one, it's a little more real. I mean, obviously there are bits that aren't real. That's fine. And but like I liked it more because they would travel to other countries, they would see other cultures and try things in other cultures. So I enjoyed that aspect of it, of like, hey, I don't necessarily know anything about Cambodia, but they are now going to Cambodia and learning about the culture. They're doing something that people in Cambodia do on a daily basis, to where, you know, to people who grew up in America, it's foreign. But to people who live in Cambodia, it's like, oh, this is just normal everyday life.
Yeah.
So like I enjoyed that aspect of The Amazing Race more. And because at least like we were seeing other cultures, we were learning about the world in just a fun way, kind of deal. At least that's how I viewed The Amazing Race. I know in the UK there is another, like, they have their own version of The Amazing Race as well. I don't remember what it's called, but I know that it exists. But like that was like the reality show that I would watch growing up. I didn't really watch any other reality TV shows growing up. That was the only one. And then after I grew up a bit, like recently in like the last year and a half, I've kind of started enjoying Survivor a little bit, because again, like there are aspects of it that are fake, and that's always going to be the case because there's always the production side of things. But then you still see like, hey, like there are these challenges, and like, there's this, and like there's, politics that pretty much run that show. So while parts of it are going to be taken care of um with production and everything, there's still an aspect of truth to that show, which is why I think those are the only two shows in reality television that I've ever seemed to enjoy in any capacity, because you can kind of see a bit of the truth in it, even though, like, as an actor, I know that there are a lot of factors that go into it that it doesn't make it as real as it actually is.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think as well, like, we're dealing with, I like watching. I watched a parody of a reality show as a kid. Total Drama Island, and I love it. Like, it was
Great
fun,
show.
but it's a parody of it, and I'm always down for a parody. Like, I'm always down for something that makes fun of another thing. I just think that you get into a dangerous situation where you're claiming reality, and I agree with you. So yeah, let's continue.
Yeah. So where we're at, Truman says, "Eat me, damn it." That's an order. He's off on his like hiking up a mountain thing. He's just having a good time. I'm here for Truman. I like Truman. He's just doing his own thing. And Meryl calls to Truman saying that he's going to be late. And we then see that it is day 10,909 of this show, which is wild. And we'll get into like, because I got curious a bit later. It might be this episode, it might be the next episode where we talk about like the age of it. But I definitely looked it up, and we'll get a bit more into it a bit later. But pretty much, I looked it up. Day 10,909, he's 29 years old, about to turn 30.
Yeah.
So just for context of, how old is someone in this show? Like, how old would Truman be? He's in his he's almost 30 is where he's at. But Truman goes out, he greets his neighbors, and he's scared of Pluto, the beautiful Dalmatian. I'm so sad that he's scared of the dog. I love dogs, and I was like, oh, he doesn't like puppies. I mean, Pluto is a very large Dalmatian, but
Also, I don't know if you know this, Dalmatians are one of the most dangerous breeds in all of the world.
but Pluto just wanted kisses.
Yeah, Pluto. Yeah, Pluto can stay. Um, um, so he's with Pluto, and Pluto's like, "Hi, I want you," and he's like, "No," and he hops in his car. I also like really enjoy the fact that you can always tell when you're watching the Truman Show, if you will, or you're in the Truman Show, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. So like, there's the whenever the camera focuses in and has a little shadowy on the corners or whatever, you can tell what camera angle you're filming through.
Yeah. I like how they showed that, like, hey, some of these cameras are hidden cameras. And, like, and the way to show it, it's like, this might not necessarily be the best camera angle that someone can get. But if you're trying to hide it from them, like, yeah, the camera has to be under his desk in a discreet way in like this little nook kind of deal so that he doesn't clock that there's a camera there kind of deal. Which, one thing, the neighbor next door has a trash can that has a camera on the bin and he doesn't notice. Like, that is the most obvious camera placement ever. And he's just like, ah, well, this is normal. Like, what?
I think when you think, you're going through your own life, I think the point is like, if whether, you don't notice everything. You don't notice 100% of everything in the world. And, you know,
No, and it's also possible that, like, the other trash cans, but that's the only trash can that we see. as the
Yeah,
only bin that we see. But it's possible that other bins also have, even if they're not like actual cameras, they might have like the same little button on it. So like the same look. So he might just think like, oh, that's just what all the bins look like. But then like specific
exactly.
ones have built-in cameras so that they can get the angle kind of deal. So makes sense. But just as Truman is about to get into the car, something falls from the sky and it crashes onto the street. Truman goes to investigate. He's very confused and he tentatively taps it, picks it up, and everything. And it's a light that has Sirius written on it. And I couldn't pick up what else was written on it. I could just see Sirius because Jim Carrey's shoulder was blocking the rest of the text in the shot. So I was like, it's a light fixture. Which, can I just say, like, props to the production team. They have created a sky that is a sky, and then above that, they have lights. Like, whew, well done. Well done to the production team.
I just love the fact I like it's the scariest thing to ever happen in a film set ever because I think like the first time a light fell on an actor, it was the biggest scandal in Hollywood history. And like it was a major injury case, who was
Yeah.
liable, all that stuff. But this is like, oh, this is a TV show where you don't tell your main actor he's an actor.
Yeah.
Imagine it fell on Truman, like the amount of paperwork they would have had to do, and the amount of like, oh shit, we just killed our main actor, amount of stuff that would have to happen, is quite funny to me, as well as because I work with lights, I work with stage lighting. I understand like you need safety cables, you need things to prevent. Like OSHA has literally
Yeah.
passed
How did this
laws.
happen?
So like under my understanding, the clamp broke and they just didn't have a safety cable under it. It's actually really funny. OSHA in America doesn't require safety cables over the stage in theater, only over the audience.
Great. So, like, a light could fall on me and whoopsie doos. Like, it happens. But, like, we can't hurt the people who are paying, to come see the show
Well,
and see the person that's
I
on stage.
I think OSHA's reasoning. I mean, most theaters don't adhere to that. Most theaters like safety cable every light, or should. If you're a theater and you haven't safety cabled every light, and I go into your theater, I'm gonna safety cable your lights. Um, but like, what I think can happen, it's really funny to me, is actors are insured, audience members are not. So like if a light falls on you at work, you technically get workers comp. Actors would get workers comp. You know
That
what
is
I
true.
mean? So audience members wouldn't. Also, audience members sue faster. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I mean, we
Um,
understand the risks when we're acting.
yeah, but a light falling on you, it shouldn't be a risk. But I
It
think it is.
shouldn't. It happened. My best friend dropped a light on somebody. I mean,
Ooh.
okay, in Dylan's defense, it wasn't fully his fault. So, what had happened? This was a show that happened in high school. This was my senior year. We were doing Footloose. And for some reason, even though we all said it was a bad idea, the director decided that we were going to fly down some lights so that we could light from the side. We all said it was a bad idea. She still thought that it was a good idea and that we would do it. So fine, we were doing it. He was flying down the lights. He was working backstage. His job was to fly down the light. He gave the all clear. The all clear was given, and he was given the all clear. But then somehow something happened, and the main actor, the guy who was playing Ren, was on skates because it was right before the skate scene in Footloose.
Ah.
And so he had an extra 2 feet on top of him, which wasn't accounted for. And so if he was just, in his normal like sneakers, nothing would have happened. But because he was on his skates, he got hit in the head with the light, even though the all clear was given and it wasn't clear.
Ow.
So like there was just miscommunication somewhere. And then because he was also, on skates, it added to it. And I mean, thankfully he was okay and everything. But it's happened, and I've been there when it's happened, and it's a scary thing.
Yeah, I think the number one thing about a fly system, whether you're running fly or anything like that during the show, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Also, your director sounds like a nightmare. Um,
Yeah, she wasn't our main director in high school. This director came in because our like main theater director was on maternity leave, so she didn't
fair.
get the chance. So she didn't do that show. It was someone else. So it was a whole thing. There was a lot of drama around that show, just
I mean, it
in
makes
general.
sense. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, back to the Truman Show. They explained this light falling by saying that it was an aircraft flying over New Haven and it started losing parts just a few moments ago. And Truman just goes about his day and, like, we're listening to some classical music. And I'm like, Truman didn't have a single thought of, like, oh, those poor people on that aircraft that's just, like, falling apart now. Oh, well. Like, I love that he's just like, whatever. It doesn't affect me. So he gets the paper, he gets a magazine for his wife, and we also see him get stopped and pushed against a wall by two twins. And then there's a very, very large sign for free range Kaiser chicken. Is Kaiser
Yeah.
chicken a thing?
I don't
In
think so.
Okay,
Like Kaiser rolls are a thing. Like
I've
you can
heard of
get a
Kaiser
Kaiser.
rolls.
I think it's just a brand.
Look, all I'm saying, great product placement. It is front and center.
Pacement or placement?
I said placement.
You said pacement.
Did I say placement?
You did.
Placement. Placement.
There you go. Great
Words
product.
are
Yes.
hard, ladies and gentlemen. Words are hard.
T-shirt. Words are hard. No, I think it is hilariously. Oh, it's just so funny. They're like, product placement. Push them up against the thing, and that's how we get our dollars, everyone.
Wee! So anyway, they quickly finish the conversation. Truman says, think about the deal. It's a 2-for-1. And I was like, lol, get it? Because they're twins. Haha. And Truman...
I hate you so much.
You're stuck with me.
I know.
So Truman seems like the kind of person, he's very kind. He's letting everyone in before him. And then he just delivers the line, I'm not that anxious to get there. And I'm like, you know what, Truman? I feel that. And I'm pretty sure any person ever walking into their job understands your sentiment. Well done. Like, just,
Yeah.
we love that. It's like, look, do I need to go in? Yes. Am I completely okay with being a kind human being and letting the others go before me so that technically it's like, hey, why are you late? Oh, I was holding the door for people, or there was a long line of people and I let them go before me because they seemed like they were in a rush. Like, that's okay.
Plus, can we talk about his job really quick? They really gave him the most boring business 9 to 5 office job they could.
Yeah. Also, like, who wants to watch that as part of the show? Like, look, if you're gonna make Truman an interesting character to watch, get him to be an actor. So where he thinks that he's an actor in a TV show, Wow. Like, there are so many other things they could have given him a job to do. It would have been more interesting to watch him, go around and pick up garbage.
That's all I'm saying.
It's honest
Uh,
work, but it's significantly more interesting than sitting at a desk.
yeah. No one wants a desk job.
Nah, I mean, we'll get to that. So we find out that his name is Truman Burbank, which we did know, but I completely forgot until I saw the little nameplate on his desk. And Truman uses his phone and is trying to whisper to get a connection to the Fiji Islands. And his cubicle neighbor pops up with a paper that reads, "The Island Times, the best place on Earth. Seahaven voted planet's top town." And I was like, okay, they're really piling it on here for poor little Truman, who's in a TV show.
I just want to make a comment about his last name. Burbank. Burbank, California.
Yeah.
Just
For anyone that's unaware, Burbank, California is like Hollywood. Yes. Very close to it. Yeah. Okay.
It's part of the Hollywood area, and it's amazing. I love Burbank. It has Bob's Big Boy, and that is why you go to Burbank. It's Bob's Big Boy.
What's Bob's Big Boy?
The best burger in all of, well, not the best burger in California. One of the best burgers in all of California.
Okay, is it a fast food burger? Is it a sit down place? I don't know. I've never heard of this
It's
place.
kind of like a mixture, I would say. So like either you can sit down. It's like a burger place
It's
that's on a
like a
little bit
Five
upscale.
Guys.
Even a
No,
bit
no, no.
higher.
In terms of like the establishment, like if you want to go in and you want to sit down, you can. But it's also fairly common for takeaway.
It's like an Alice's or a Tom's.
Haven't heard of either of those either.
Oh dang it. It's like imagine an old 1950s burger restaurant that just feels a little nicer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I love Burbank. I mean, I went to school in Southern California University, California State University Northridge. I love it. I mean, I used to go to Big Bob's Big Boy with my housemates. We literally we drove to Burbank just for burgers once, and it was amazing. I mean, also there's Umami Burger down the street, which is also like, let me tell you. But yeah, I love Burbank.
I went to school in Portland. We just
no
went
one
to food trucks.
Fair.
Hey, there were some really good ones.
I mean, there are good food trucks in California as well. I mean, we got the
I believe it.
best tacos in the country.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Texas might have something to say about that, but from the tacos that I had when I was in California last, which I think was 2019, was the last time that like I was actually in California for a slightly extended period of time. They were really good tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, Truman is, dismissive and says into the phone that it's like, oh, if he's in a coma, he's probably uninsurable. And I was like, what is happening on the other end of the line? Oh, wait, it was a cover up so that he didn't, like, the cubicle mate wouldn't process that, like, he just wanted to try to get connected to Fiji. Anyway, he's trying to get in contact with someone named Lauren Garland in Fiji. There's no listing. He then tries Sylvia Garland, nothing, and dejected, he hangs up and pulls out the hidden magazine with a woman's face on multiple pages. Like there are just multiple women's faces in this magazine. And as he coughs, he rips out one of the pages of the magazine so that he can look into the eyes of the woman. And I was like, I don't know who this Lauren or this Sylvia person is, but I feel like they're going to show up later and it's going to make a lot more sense, but I'm very confused on what's going on right now. So,
Sounds
Lawrence, right. Yeah, we've been introduced to this idea. We'll see where it goes. Lawrence has shown up and he has a prospect in Wells Park that he needs Truman to close, and Wells Park is on Harbor Island. Truman says he can't do it. He has an appointment. It's a dentist appointment. And Lawrence says, you know what? You'll lose a lot more than teeth if you don't meet the quota. No, he won't, Lawrence. You know that he won't. He's not going to lose anything. They're not going to fire their main actor from this TV show who doesn't even know that they're an actor. At most, he's just going to get a significantly more interesting job than working at the bank.
Yeah. I mean, it is really funny. I mean, I think that like, he does it. He just, I don't know. It's really funny to have like this guy be like, "Oh yeah, you're going to get fired if you don't do this thing." And it's like it makes him feel like any other job, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So Lauren says in hushed tones and tells Truman that they are making cutbacks at the end of the month. And Truman needs this. Pulls plus half hour across the bay, fresh sea air would do him some good. And so we're at the Harbor Island ferry. He gets a return ticket and looks at the ticket guy of like, why in the world would I just want a one-way ticket to Harbor Island? That sounds like a horrible idea. What is wrong with you? Is the kind of look that Jim Carrey was imposing on this man. Beautiful. Jim Carrey's facial just acting is incredible.
I mean, that's what Jim Carrey's known for.
That's what he's known for. There's a beautiful clip of him when, people come up to him and they're like, oh, look, it's the Grinch. And then he like contorts his face and he's like, hello. And like, it's
Does
like,
the
yeah.
whole yeah.
Does the whole thing with his eyebrows. I can't do it. Like that's not what I'm good at. My face is silly, but it doesn't contort in the
Mhm.
beautiful way that Jim Carrey's face does. And I don't know of any other actor that can contort their face and has as much control on their facial muscles as Jim Carrey does.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like I don't know of anyone else that has that, and if they do, then I'm sorry that I am not as well versed with your talents. But great job by Jim Carrey right there. He is hesitant to get on the ferry, but he slowly makes his way to the dock, where conveniently, for some reason, they have a dinghy that has been sunk. Because why not? Truman starts to panic. He puts himself together. He stands and he starts to head back to land, saying that he'll be okay. And I was like, well, there goes the quota.
Yeah. Yeah, he's afraid of the water.
He's afraid of the water. I'm not completely sure why, but we learn about that in a little bit. I didn't think too much of it. I was just like, okay, he is scared of going on a boat. I don't know why, but he's scared of going on a boat.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of people. I think there's an actual phobia name for it as well.
Oh
And
yeah.
people
I
are
mean,
afraid
I
of
don't
going.
know I don't know about like your social media right now, but like my Instagram reels, the algorithm right now is just showing me all of these like posts and reels of people just in the North Sea and how treacherous the North Sea is.
Jesus.
And like it's very fun to read all the comments because all the comments are like, why? Who would do this? Why are they doing this? Can we appreciate the guy who's just chilling on a lounge chair on the boat? But why would they do this? Also, appreciate the Vikings. They did this in wooden boats. Like,
My question is, where was the boat gonna go? Like, obviously, is there a set for this other island, and they're gonna have the actor ready for this insurance claim thing that he's going to have to do?
yeah, on the off chance that like he actually gets on the boat and decides to conquer his fear, like what are you gonna do? Do you have a backup plan? I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, Christoph, the creator, is played by. He's in the first bit of the film. Really quick,
Okay,
I just wanted to say he's played by Ed Harris,
cool.
who is which I didn't know it was Ed Harris until recently, but I love Ed Harris. I think he's been in like Apollo 13, Radio, like
Oh, he's in National Treasure too.
yeah, he's the guy, he's the villain in National Treasure 2. Yeah.
I never realized that this was him. I really like him as an actor.
Yeah, me too. I also love him in Radio. Radio is one of my favorite football movies.
I haven't seen Radio.
Oh no, Ankit, not another one.
I mean, at this
Uh,
point, dude,
ah.
I'm looking at his I'm looking at Ed Harris right now, and his filmography. I haven't
Yeah.
seen many of his films. National Treasure 2 is definitely what I know him from.
Watch Radio, please. You don't have to. You don't have to do an episode. Just watch Radio.
Just watch Radio. Okay.
Just
I've
watch
seen
Radio.
Apollo 13.
Oh, that's good. I would have been really mad at you if you
No,
hadn't seen
I
Apollo
have
13.
seen Apollo 13. It has been years since I have seen Apollo 13, which is why like I just don't recognize Ed Harris from Apollo 13, if that makes sense. Like I know Apollo 13 and I know that Tom Hanks is in Apollo 13 if I'm remembering
Yeah.
it correctly. So like yeah, I have seen it. I just don't recognize him from it because it's not as ingrained in my memory because I've only seen it once. Whereas I love the National Treasure films, so every now and again I'll just be like, "Oh, it's been a few years. I'll watch this." So,
Um, just for our notification, just something we should keep in mind. Apollo 13, I think it's an adaptation.
oh, of course it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, what Steven and I are learning as we are putting together this new show that is going to be coming out very, very soon. we have
Everything's an
learned
adaptation.
we have learned that almost everything is an adaptation, and we're like, oh no.
That's fine. I mean, I want to do Romeo and Juliet and the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet. I think that'd be a great episode.
We'll get to it at some point. Let's get the first episodes of that show out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry. Let's get back to Truman Show.
let's get back to the Truman Show. So we're back home, and Truman is gardening, and Meryl has come home, and looks like she's a nurse. She rides a bicycle. This is what we know about Meryl. And at the shop, she bought him a chef's pal. It's a dicer, a grater, a peeler, all in one. It never needs sharpening, and it's dishwasher safe.
Oh my gosh. Buy it now for $32.99.
But wait, if you order within the next 5 minutes, we'll throw in a second one for free. Just pay extra shipping and handling.
The product placement just kills me in this movie.
It's great. It's absolutely hilarious, and I absolutely love it. Hey, if anyone needs anyone for infomercials, hit me up. I can do it. So
Yeah,
later that night, we see Marlon, and he is enjoying a beer with Truman, and they are hitting golf balls. Lovely, just two friends being friends.
Also, there's another product placement with the beer itself.
Is there? I didn't catch.
Yeah,
the
Marlon
beer
was like, "It's so great to have a cool, refreshing beer." For those who don't know, I did a whole gimmick with my hand. For those who are listening to just audio only, I acted out the infomercial of beer.
He acted out beer.
Yeah,
So,
beer.
Anyway, so Truman reveals that he just wants to get out of the job, out of the island. He wants to get off the island. And Marlon says, why? You have a great job. You have a desk job. I'd kill for a desk job. And this is where I was like, you know what? For some people, a desk job works. And to those people, thank you for doing the desk job that you enjoy. Because if you didn't do what you did, I don't have the prospect of attempting to do what I do, which is create content and act and laugh and make people laugh and make people be like, Ankit's stupid. How does he not know things? So, like, thank you. I respect you greatly. I could never. I don't like desk jobs. I've done them. Not for me. Not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I just want to point out they're hitting golf balls. We don't know where they're going.
No. We don't need to think about that. I also thought about that, but I was like, you know what? It's fine.
Because if this is a live set, I just want to point out, you hit a golf ball, just could hit a production person.
No, but it does also seem like it's a live set, but it's also like the whole island, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole island is a set. And so where they're hitting golf balls seems like they're at the end of the road, because it's like you see that you can't go any further, and then they're hitting them down the road. And also, if they know that this is happening and that this is what they're doing, hopefully the production people are smart enough to tell the extras who might still be on the set or people, and just be like, hey guys, like, just shift so that you don't accidentally get knocked by one of these golf balls, because like we know what's going on. Just like move out of the way.
Yeah, so they're hitting golf balls.
They're hitting golf balls.
And Marlon is the only one drinking beer. Truman never grabs a beer.
Nah, Truman never touches it. But we find out that Marlon stocks vending machines for a living, and he's like, that's excitement. And Truman asks if Marlon ever gets itchy feet, and Marlon asks where is there to go, and Truman says, Fiji. Marlon doesn't know where that is, and he's like, is that near Florida? And appreciation to the bit from Marlon. Like, he's doing great. He obviously knows that all of this is fake, but I feel like he is truly just a good friend. Even later, we'll see, like, I feel like Marlon does a very good job of just being Truman's friend, to the point where I don't have ill will towards Marlon. I like him. Honestly, like, Marlon is, outside of Truman, Marlon's probably my favorite character in this. He's not around a lot, but like, he's just a good friend. And he's like, look, man, like, I'll have the conversation with you. And as an actor coming into this messed up world, he's also very good at letting Truman speak and letting Truman do what and say what he wants, but also not giving Truman that like kind of false sense that like, oh, this is all fake kind of deal. He does a very good job of balancing it. So like, well done to Marlon as just both Truman's friend and as an actor in the Truman Show. So well done to you. So he then is like, okay, fine. Using the golf balls, he shows that Fiji is on the other side of the world and says that it is as far as you can get without coming back, which I thought was just a beautiful line, beautiful way to describe it. And in Fiji, there are still islands where humans have never set foot. Now, I have never been to Fiji, and I was curious, is that still true today? I don't know.
I've never been to Fiji. I don't know much about Fiji.
I do know that Fiji water comes from Fiji.
Really? I feel like that's just a brand.
No. So I learned this recently. Fiji water is actually from Fiji.
Interesting. Well, there's Fiji Airways.
Oh, they've got an airline.
So Fiji, a country in South Pacific, is an archipelago of more than 300 islands. So yeah, I believe there's probably
There's probably still some that people haven't stepped on or explored, or maybe they have.
It's like Madagascar. Madagascar's off the continent of Africa, and it's uninhabited.
Madagascar is habited.
I was pretty sure it's uninhabited.
I'm pretty sure people live in Madagascar, buddy.
Mm,
Or did they just let the lemurs run Madagascar?
I think the lemurs just run Madagascar.
Did the lemurs? Hold on, I'm gonna type that into Google. We're gonna find out. Do lemurs run Madagascar? Let's see what Google says.
Madagascar has been inhabited by human beings for a relatively short period, about 1,300 years.
See, it's inhabited.
Has been inhabited.
Oh, inhabited.
Yeah.
Oh, so they just let the lemurs truly run that country.
Madagascar is home to more than 21 million people with a wide array of faiths of customs.
Steven, stop lying to me. Pick a side.
Google's told me both things, all right? So Google could be right and wrong.
Welcome to the internet. So, anyway.
There were no humans in the film Madagascar with Alex the Lion. I think, I like to believe that movie was correct.
Great films. Fantastic films.
I think it's DreamWorks. That DreamWorks did their research.
Well done, DreamWorks. Anyway, back to the Truman Show, because we are not getting far in this episode.
We're only like 20 minutes into the film.
We're like 10 minutes into the film.
No, this is 20.
Okay, we'll take 20. So, we're on page 3 of my notes.
Yeah, but we're only doing a quarter of the film in this episode, so it's fine.
That is true. So, then we are back, and Marlon asks, when will you go? And Truman says it isn't that simple. It takes money, planning. You can't just up and go, but he will do it. And don't worry, bonus time is just around the corner. And I was like, no, it's not. You didn't meet your quota. So Truman is...
No bonus for you. You didn't go on the boat.
You didn't go on the boat. No bonus for you. Sorry.
Hey, come to my office. Sorry. Everyone else gets a bonus. They went on the boat. You, no boat, no bonus. It's a boat bonus.
It's a boat bonus. So Truman's sitting on a bench, and in a flashback, we see that he is sailing with his dad when he was a little kid. The dad didn't like the weather, but the son convinced him to stay out for a little longer. They get caught in a storm, and the dad gets thrown overboard and drowns at sea. This explains his fear of water and boats.
Yeah, he's sitting on the beach, not a bench.
Sorry, yes, he's sitting on a beach. I read bench but wrote beach, so we're doing great.
There.
So
everyone loves a bench on a beach and a beach and a bench.
Yeah. No, looking at my notes, it literally says BEACH, beach, and I read bench. So we're doing great.
Life.
It's moving, and this is also when I was like, wow, that is traumatic. I understand his fear of boats and why he didn't want to get on the boat. It
Hmm.
makes sense. But also, that is a beautiful green screen of the moon that they've just inserted in and the sunset. Like, oh, beautiful. Like, the production team for The Truman Show is truly going up and beyond. Like, they were like, hey, it's not always interesting, but it's going to be aesthetically pleasing to look at. And we
Yeah.
appreciate that. So, it starts to rain just on Truman, and the water follows him. And he notices that the water is following him, and I'm like, how do you not realize that something is whack about this? And then it just starts to rain completely. And Truman's caught in the rain, so he goes back home. And he goes back home, he's soaked. Meryl's like, why are you wet? Like, Meryl is upset by him. She's like, what is wrong with you, Truman? Like, why are you like this? And Truman says that they can scrape together 8K and they can bum around the world for a year using that. And Meryl says, then what? Where will they be, after that? They're just going to be where they were 5 years ago. They have mortgage payments, they have car payments. Are you just going to walk away from your financial obligations? Honestly, that sounds lovely.
I mean, I just looked at my student loans of what I owe the United States government.
Great, so we're gonna continue on. Truman says that it's gonna be an adventure, and Meryl thought that they wanted to try for a baby. Truman says that can wait, but he wants to go see the world. He wants to explore the world. And Meryl says that it'll pass. We all think like this. Let's get you out of those wet clothes and come to bed. And then we see two security officers in the real world. So, listeners, for continuation throughout this movie, I'm gonna call it the real world and Truman's world. So like or Truman Show and then the real world. So if I'm referring to the real world, it's not the world that Truman knows is what I'm referring to. Just for ease so I don't have to keep explaining myself. But so in the real world, we then see two security officers and Scully from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is just like, you know,
Yeah.
woo! And he's just like, we never see anything. They turn the camera, we'll play music, something like that. And I
I
was like,
love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I was so happy to see him.
rest in peace to Andre. Great, great
Yeah.
actor. He passed away recently as we are recording this earlier this week. Absolutely phenomenal actor. Um,
By the way, he's not a security guard.
he was wearing a security guard outfit.
No, they work in mechanic shop. They work in the garage.
Okay, fine. Then works as a mechanic. I don't know. I thought it was security officers. They don't tell me what they are.
Yeah, but like they're in a car shop. Like you look behind them, there's literal cars.
I
That are being
wasn't paying
fixed.
attention. I was excited to see Scully.
Ankit, how do you get that so wrong?
You've known me for a while. You shouldn't be surprised by this.
Okay, Scully is playing a garage assistant. All right, a
All
garage
right,
engineer,
great. That's the only time that we've seen them. We'll
and
move
the
on.
actor's name is Joel McKinnon Miller.
He's a good actor, great actor. Like, love him. Anything that I've seen him do is lovely. I've seen him in like one or two other like things where he's come in kind of like in this one where it's like a short one-liner, two-liner thing. But I've always enjoyed seeing him on the screen. But we're going to take a quick break for the intermission and then we will continue this episode. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Post Finale. I hope you're all enjoying this episode with Stephen, where we are starting to go through the Truman Show. And this is the first episode of 2024. So happy New Year, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well in the new year. We have some big things planned here in the new year, not just for Post Finale, but for the various shows that are going to be here on Co-op Forge. So as we have alluded to, Stephen and I have a new show that is coming out this Friday. So in 2 days' time, if you are listening to this day that it comes out, in 2 days' time, we are releasing a show called Flip the Scripts. It's all about adaptations, and we are starting with the Percy Jackson books and the Percy Jackson movies. Yes, for anyone that has read these books or has seen these movies, we know that they're not the greatest adaptations in the world, but that's why we chose them to start with. So if you want to hear us talk about these adaptations, the changes in the books to the film, what we think, which one holds up better, what do we think of the film, what do we think of the book, so on and so forth, then be sure check that out. You can find that on whatever podcast app you use to listen to the podcast. Just search Flip the Scripts on Friday. And you can also find the show here on the Co-op Forge YouTube channel. It's all going to be right here on this YouTube channel if you are listening to YouTube. Now, with that out of the way, if you would like to gain access to some bonus content, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/coopforge. So that's patreon.com/CO_OPFORGE. And when you sign up for the Patreon, you're not just getting bonus content for Post Finale, but you're going to be getting bonus content for Flip the Scripts and another show that's in the works and should be coming out here in a week or two. I'm still keeping it a little under wraps until we're fully ready to let that one go live. But you will not just be getting bonus content for one show. You'll be getting bonus content for any show that is done here on Co-op Forge. And it helps us continue being able to do this for you, the listeners. We really want to help grow our community this year and get a lovely group of people to talk about films, to talk about books, talk about nerdy things. It's a good time. You don't want to miss out. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Post Finale Pod. You can also follow us at Co-op Forge, CO_OPFORG on all the platforms. And if you want to follow us on TikTok, we just have one TikTok for everything that we're doing here on Co-op Forge. And that is also at Co-op Forge on TikTok, CO_OPFORGE. And if you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, that's really helpful as well. Word of mouth is the best way to help grow the shows. It really, really does mean a lot to us. Just reach out to a friend and be like, hey, you like podcasts? Hey, you like films? Just reach out. It really does mean a lot. Be sure to leave a rating or review if you're listening on any of the podcast app. That helps more than you know. And if you're listening on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out. And we haven't mentioned it yet, but if we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, then we are going to be talking about the Twilight series over on Flip the Scripts. So be sure to hit that button if you want to hear us talk about Twilight, which neither of us have ever read before. But I've rambled on for a while, so thank you so much for listening to this episode. Happy New Year to everyone, and let's just get back into the episode. So, we're back. And we are on the next day. We are now on day 10,910. Truman gets the paper, his magazine for his wife. Stephen, you have something to say?
Doesn't he go downstairs to the basement before?
No, that happens in a little bit.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah,
I got confused on my order. My bad. Keep going.
No, you're good. That happens later on this day. So Yeah. So he passes an old man, and he recognizes him as his dad. And then, two people in suits grab the dad and pull him away. Truman is slowed down by runners who are all wearing headphones and the exact same clothes, which was interesting. And I was like,
production staff, go! Stop him!
Which, fine. He then also runs over a man who is just minding his own business on the pavement, and then knocks over a bicyclist, all in the effort to try to get to Dad. And Dad is ushered onto a bus, which the doors close, and it starts pulling away. Truman's chasing the bus, asking for it to be stopped, but it doesn't. And then Truman is then stopped by a taxi that, pulls right in front of him, and he realizes that the bus is gone. And then a cute wiener dog runs by, and Truman looks confused.
Yeah, because the wiener dog was being walked by one of the people that took his dad, or who he thinks his dad is, and the wiener dog was just abandoned.
Yeah, a couple things. One, you've abandoned the dog. How dare you?
Yeah, number one, I'll adopt that dog.
I'll take the dog. Here's the thing, listeners, if you haven't picked this up already, I love animals. So whenever in a film, if an animal is hurt or abused or left behind, I'm so sad. I want nothing but happiness for the animals.
Yeah, Marley and Me hurt.
Yeah. Owen Wilson, though, great job in that film. It was a good film.
Hey, you've seen that one. Wow, I'm so I give Ankit 2 points for that.
Hey, I've read the book too.
Oh, it's an adaptation? Oh no.
I read the book and then the movie came out and then I watched the movie, even though I knew how it was gonna end.
Okay, let's continue Truman Show before we have to make a Marley and Me adaptation episode.
So, but the other thing is, if this is a set, how did they let the dad just sneak onto the set? How is this allowed?
You know, people sneak onto sets all the time in Hollywood.
Sure.
There's like pictures of people on the wall of like people banned from studios because they snuck onto sets.
Fair. Look, ladies and gentlemen, don't sneak onto a set. It doesn't help anyone, and the actors just want to do their job. Everyone's just trying to do their job so that you can get good content. Just don't sneak onto sets. If you want to get on a set, see if there's a legal way that you can get on a set.
Sign up for the live studio audience.
Sign up for that. Sign up to be an extra if you want to be in it. Like, you can try to be an extra when they do that. Like, there's so many ways that you can go watch something be filmed, but don't sneak onto sets. It's just rude to everyone who is trying to do their job.
Back in the day, they actually used to, like when they were doing silent movies. So back before talkies were introduced, they used to sell tickets to people for like, I think it was like a nickel, but people would come in and would watch the silent movie be filmed because obviously you can talk while a silent movie was being filmed. So they'd watch people film old westerns and they would sell tickets on the Universal backlot for people to watch.
Huh, interesting.
It was really cool. I mean, like back in the day, you know, obviously didn't matter. Now, because
Back in the day when a nickel meant something.
well, then when talkies started getting, you know, big, then it was like, we can't have people on set anymore
Yeah, makes sense.
because people don't shut up.
Yeah. So we then see a woman, and I'm guessing this is Mother, and she is telling Truman it isn't strange at all. She sees him 10 times a week with 100 different faces, and she almost hugged a stranger at the salon once because she thought that it was him. And Truman is convinced that it was Dad, dressed like a homeless man. And it was weird that a businessman and then a woman with a very small dog ushered him onto the bus. Again, we need justice for the dog.
Oh, she's in Legally Blonde. That's why I know her.
I haven't seen Legally Blonde.
She's also in Spy Kids 2.
Oh, I've seen that one.
She's the grandmother in Spy Kids.
Oh, okay.
She's in 2.5 Men.
Two and a Half Men. I don't think I've seen it.
She's also a voice in Cinderella.
Cool. She's done a lot. She's done a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, Truman Show.
I thought she was also the mom for a second in National Treasure, but then no, that's a different actor.
That's different. That is very different. So
Yeah.
the mom says that it isn't, it's good. They are cleaning up the trash around town before they become like the rest of the country. And just a PSA, homeless people are not trash. They are still people who have feelings, and you should treat them with respect. They are not trash. So Truman says that they never found his body, and if it wasn't Dad, it was his twin. And Mom's just like, Dad was an only child, just like you. You know this. And Mom says that Truman's just feeling bad because of what happened, him sailing off into that storm. She never blamed Truman, and she doesn't now. Not gonna lie, Mom, it kind of sounds like you're blaming Truman.
Oh, and I just realized that this actor is also the mom in George of the Jungle.
I haven't seen George of the Jungle.
Oh no, Ankit.
Dude, why are you surprised at this point?
It's so good. It's Brendan Fraser when he was fit.
He's still fit. How dare you besmirk the name of Brendan Fraser?
No, I love Brendan Fraser, but Brendan Fraser just did a movie called The Whale, and I think it was amazing. But this is Brendan Fraser when he was like toned.
Oh, he was jacked Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, like when I meant fit, I meant jacked.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah.
He's still a very healthy man. He's just in a different stage of life.
This is when he was a parody of Tarzan.
I haven't seen it.
George of the Jungle, watch out for that tree.
Whee! See, I know that.
And then he hits the tree.
Fantastic. We're not talking about George of the Jungle, though.
No, back to the Truman Show, sorry.
Back to the Truman Show. So, Truman is opening this chest, and he's down in what looks like his basement. this is where he's in the basement, and he's opening a chest of what looks like childhood memories, and we see pics of him and Dad. Meryl comes down, and Truman hides the memories to make it look like he's fixing the motor on
Mm-hmm.
the lawnmower. And Meryl knows that Truman saw his father today. Meryl says that she shouldn't, upset his mother like that. And anyway, Meryl made macaroni, and Truman isn't hungry. And I'm sorry, when was the last time as an adult you ate macaroni?
Uh, as just the meal or part of the side?
Like macaroni and cheese as a meal.
Never. Like I have it as a side. Like at Thanksgiving we had macaroni and cheese with like the turkey and the mashed
Sure,
potatoes.
sure.
And
That's fine.
my sister made it. Melanie. Oh, she knows how to make the mac and cheese. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. I yeah, I don't know. It threw me off that macaroni was the main dish.
Product placement, possibly.
It didn't feel like a product placement.
No, but like it could have led to a product placement. I'm saying.
It could have if Truman followed.
Yeah.
It's true, true. It was setting up, but sadly, macaroni didn't make the product placement cut. They didn't
No.
give enough money to the producers.
No, it didn't.
Poor macaroni. So Meryl says, he should throw out the lawnmower and just get the new elk rotary. Product placement. Hello. So, and Meryl leaves, and Truman goes back to his box of memories, and he pulls out a bag, and inside of it is a red blouse. Now, in the real world, we learned from somebody watching that they got rid of her, but they couldn't erase the memory. And this is where I was like, this feels really messed up. They're just using this man for entertainment. They don't actually care about this man. They just want to see him suffer or struggle or anything. This is so wrong on so many levels. Just it made me irky. I didn't like it.
Yeah. Now we're and I think it's really interesting because now we're 30 minutes into the film and you're just like you start to feel bad for Truman and you're just like, oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
Because now it's like that question of like, where does entertainment go too far?
Mm-hmm. So we then, we see a flashback and we see Marlon is playing the trumpet. Honestly, not bad trumpet playing.
No, very good.
Quite good. Well done.
I think at this point though, I realized it was like, oh wow, they've been doing this TV show for a long time. So I wondered when Marlon, like, I wonder how long Marlon's been in the show, or you know what I mean?
I feel like Marlon may have shown up high school or college.
Yeah, but that's a long time to be in a TV show. Do you know what I mean? 24 hours a day it's filmed.
It's filmed 24 hours a day, but he's not always in it.
That's true, but I'm just saying that is a long time to be in a TV show.
Yeah. I mean, look, even the longest running sitcom of all time with The Big Bang Theory ran for 12 seasons.
Oh,
Not
love Big Bang Theory.
29 years.
Yeah. Love Big Bang Theory.
Great show. I absolutely loved it. And I know a lot of people had issues with it and felt like, when it got to the end, they were just extending it for no reason of extending it. I didn't feel like that. I enjoyed it the whole way through. There were episodes here and there where I was like, I didn't really care for this episode. But that's the case with almost every TV show where you're just like, yeah, that just isn't necessarily the greatest episode.
Yeah.
You can find that with any TV series. So
definitely.
Marlon's playing the trumpet fantastically, and Truman sees a beautiful woman. Truman is flirting with this girl from a distance, and when it looks like he might have the courage to make the move over to her, cheerleader Meryl falls into him saying oh no, I'm so sorry, I just sprained my ankle. And I was like, Meryl, I don't like you anymore. I want to go see what's happening over here with Truman and his long lost love, who he can't seem to find. And yeah, Truman is kind, because Truman is just a kind soul. He's like, no, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, sit down. Like, don't worry. Like, I know that it was an accident kind of deal. And he looks over, but the mystery girl is no longer on her picnic blanket.
Accident in
It was an
quotation marks.
accident in quotation marks for anyone listening to audio.
Yeah.
So it was an accident. And Truman looks around, but he can't find her. So then we cut to the next place. We see Truman and Meryl dancing together, and Marlon is there as well. And I was like, oh, is this their wedding? Turns out it's not a wedding. And look, I didn't know what it was supposed to be. I just took a guess, right?
Feels like a Back to the Future kind of moment. I
Yeah,
love it.
it kind of feels like it's a school dance or something like that.
Yeah.
And Truman sees the mystery girl at this dance as well. They both make eye contact with each other. They're flirting while dancing with other people. Oh, it's getting hot and steamy. And just as they are about to dance together, the mystery girl is escorted out. And this is where I was like, why do they keep doing this? If it's meant to be natural, why are they scripting everything? That was the whole issue that you had at the beginning of the film, which is what you stated at the beginning of the film, which was that you are tired of actors giving phony emotions. It's all phony emotions if you are scripting everything. You're trying to claim that all of this is just real and it's authentic, but it's not, because you are scripting what you want to happen in his life.
I think it's because it's not about other people's reality happening. It's about putting Truman in a situation where he just reacts to what they decide. So again, it's about this like ratings. It's about, people kind of putting him in a situation where like they're trying to raise the ratings because they're like, ooh, look at this other girl he might be interested in, but we have Meryl. Now you can be team Meryl or team other girl. And then
But if you want team other girl to have a team, let them have a conversation.
yeah, but I think again, at the same time, it's the character of Christoph. He is the decision maker. He gets to decide how the TV show goes. He's the director. He's the writer. He decided that Meryl would be his partner.
Again, I understand that, but if you're going for ratings, like you just said, right, and you want to, you've kind of decided, how the end game is going to work, right? And, I'll say this on here. Spoiler alert for the Percy Jackson series. So if you guys don't want to hear this, skip forward like a minute, because I'm about to spoil some things if you haven't read the books. Or yeah, if you haven't read the books, if you've seen the films, like none of this is gonna matter. Also, I'm so sorry, but
TV show comes out tomorrow.
TV show comes out tomorrow. I can't wait. Tomorrow, from the day that we're recording this December 19th, for anyone who's curious. But the TV show comes out tomorrow. I can't wait. Anyway, skip forward a minute from right about now if you don't want spoilers. But you know how Rachel Elizabeth Dare, and then there's Annabeth, right? The reason that you have both options as a love interest for Percy in that story is that you have allowed him to create friendships and close relationships with both of these people. That's not the case with this girl. And it's just like that, it doesn't work. It's just I didn't understand it. Anyway, this is also where I made a prediction, and I was like, I know I now have context of the film to be able to then make a prediction. I can't make prediction when I legitimately know nothing about this film. So this was my prediction. I was like, Truman is gonna realize that something is wrong after he saw his dad ushered away, and he's now put the pieces together, because all of this is happening in flashback where we see this girl. So he's going to put the pieces together that something's wrong and that the people in the suits are the bad guys. And Truman is going to start trying to come up with clever ways to try to break out of New Haven. At first, it's all going to fail. Like, he's going to try one thing, that's not going to work. He's going to try another thing, that's not going to work. So, like, we're going to see a series of fails, but eventually people on the outside in the real world are going to start sympathizing with Truman, and the viewers of the show are going to try to like start helping him come up with ways to break out. They'll try to get him secret messages, some way to like help him break out of New Haven. And eventually at the end, Truman is going to break out and he's going to find this mystery girl, and he's going to be able to go start a new life in peace where people don't follow his every move. That's what I'm hoping is going to happen. We shall see. So, yeah, that's where we're going to end this episode. We will find out more about this mystery girl next week and find out more of why is she important to Truman, what has he learned from her, what's going on there. But yeah, Stephen, thank you so much for joining as
Of
always.
course.
What if there is anything that you want to promote to the world? Is there anything? How can people find you on social media doing the things that you do? What do you want to say to the peoples?
You can go to my website, sndirector.com, to see some of my past shows. And just as I move back to Los Angeles, keep an eye out for my future shows.
I don't think we've announced that yet.
Sorry.
Surprise! But yeah, also, as we mentioned multiple times kind of throughout, be sure to tune in, because if you like Steven as a guest and you like us just, having opinions and laughing and having a good time about things, we are launching a new show called Flip the Scripts here in a couple days. If everything has gone right, it should be coming out in 2 days from when this episode drops. If not, at most, it's coming out the week after. So
I'm knocking on wood.
I just did as well. So
Great.
Hopefully everything works out and it's coming out in 2 days' time on the 5th of January. And if that is different, you all will know, because I will have told you in the intermission. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, Stephen. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And until next week, I'll catch y'all later. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Post Finale. Post Finale is created, hosted, and produced by me, Ankit Madhira. Our editor is Pranav Nair. The music is by Ankit Madhira and Megan Hutchison, and the art is by Jarid Rother. If you would like to gain access to bonus content and gain access to help potentially decide what we do on the show, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/coopforge. That's patreon.com/co_opforge. Sign up for any of the tiers. You get various types of bonus content, like helping us pick what shows and things we do in the future, what films we talk about. You get access to notes, you get access to some bonus audio, some bonus episodes, all fun things over there on Patreon. We are really trying to build a nice community of people. You also get access to our Discord, where you can chat with other people who also listen to our shows. And it really does help us out a lot to continue being able to do this. So thank you to anyone who is going to do this in the future. If you want to help out the show in a non-monetary way, that's great as well. Just follow us on social media, talk about us on social media. You can find the show itself at Post Finale Pod on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you can follow us at coopforge, co_opforge on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. TikTok, we just have the one over there for Co-op Forge, but you can find us there as well. Reach out, leave comments. We love to hear from you, and we like interacting with our listeners. So by all means, reach out, leave a comment. If you notice something silly, point it out. It's great. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and be sure to join us next week when Stephen joins us again and we continue talking about The Truman Show. And until then, I'll catch y'all later.